Arguably, the winter is actually a more critical season for drought in the UK. Winter is the time of year when you get replenishment and refill of reservoirs, and also you get recharge of underground aquifers, you get recharge of groundwater. And obviously, so from a water supply point of view, it's often in the winter when you have dry winters, especially in what we say the winter half year from October through to March. So not just winter but also spring and autumn. But in that time, that's normally the period when you get the most replenishment of our water resources. So when you have a dry winter period, that can then result in problems the following summer when demand is higher, because stocks are depleted from a drier than average winter.
A lot of the water supply that we have in the UK comes from underground aquifers. So these are the little space in between the rocks, like the hole within a sponge, that store up water. And the water that they store comes from rainfall. In the summer, the plants and the grass and the trees are sucking the water up and using them to grow. And so no water gets into the ground. And it's only in the winter, when the trees have died back a bit and they're not growing actively, that water can soak into the ground and basically fill up these aquifers. It's a bit like filling up a bank account. You're charging it up with water, and then you can use that water the following summer.
Certainly, we're going into the winter half year, the recharge season, with low river flow levels and groundwater in some parts of the country following the dry conditions we've had in 2018. So going in from a low baseline means that if we do have a dry winter or even a normal winter, then we have an elevated risk of there being water resource pressures in 2019.
Climate change is one of the things that is impacting on the water sector. So we've experienced two major events this year. The Beast from the East is where we saw an extreme event going from cold to fairly warm in a very short space of time. And that rapid change in temperature burst a lot of pipes.
This is what many people across the UK woke up to. Roads blocked, public transport cancelled.
That then increases the amount of leakage that goes out right there and then, which has a major impact on our ability to supply it, because we're putting water into that grid, but if a higher proportion is leaking out, then it's interrupting the customer. So you might be at home and experiencing the low pressure or no water at all.
We have a drought episode around about once every 10 or 15 years. We'll have a really noticeable drought episode, but they're not evenly spaced, and we don't always just get a single year of drought. Sometimes we'll have two dry winters, and if we have two dry winters in a row, then the following summer's hot, then that can be a real problem.
There was a period from around 1890 to 1910, which we sometimes refer to as the long drought, even though it wasn't one long 20-year drought. It was a period of several drought events that were all resulting from long runs of successive dry winters that had a huge impact on groundwater, especially in the south and east of England.
The two largest factors that impact future water supply is population growth, and the second one is our changing climate. So typically the extremes and uncertainty of having that available water for us. Population growth is very, very substantial. Forecast for population growth in the London and the southeast area. For instance, London may grow by nearly 2 million people over the next 25 years. It's the equivalent of picking up Manchester and Sheffield and popping into London. So that sort of development needs water. People living there need water, but water is finite in our area. We can't just bring more in very, very quickly like that. So the system is under pressure there. So one of the roles that society as a whole we've got to do is try and improve the level of awareness of water resources and water efficiency, and just get people to want to save, because it's the right thing to do. It does make a big difference to us going forward.